Hi, I'm Byron Moore. This is Mike Jones, and we're coming to you in early January. Mike and I have made an agreement that we're going to try to communicate with you by video about once every 90 days or so. 90 days ago, approximately, we came to you when we had a story about what was going on 9 months into 2023, and the market was kind of down to flat. And since then, something pretty amazing happened. Can you give us a little feedback on what happened toward the end of 2023, Mike?
Yes, I'd love to. The last 9 weeks of the year, we had one of the strongest, most amazing runs up in price this time around in both stock and bond markets. And so we have a slide that we would like to show you. So as I'm speaking, if you would look at this slide with me, you can see that there was a dip right there about the end of the third quarter, but going into the fourth quarter, just a really strong upward thrust in stock prices. What we would like to do this morning is just give you a high-level answer as to why this happened.
That was actually my second question.
Yeah.
Why did that happen, Mike?
The Federal Reserve sets interest rate policies, and we've talked about them now going on for the last 2 years. Yeah. At the end of October, going into the 1st of November, Federal Reserve came out with a statement saying that it looked like the heavy lifting, the bulk of the work they needed to do to curb inflation by raising interest rates had worked its way into the system, and that that was no surprise to market participants. But then Jerome Powell followed up by saying that then it looks like it could be possible that they would lower interest rates like 3 times next year. That was more than the market anticipated, and so whenever you get lower cost of funds, those lower rates that you can earn as a saver or an investor, then the stock market looks more attractive. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, what happened was the market kind of went ahead and priced in a lot of those rate hikes in a short period of time, very efficiently.
Very efficiently. And so what typically happens then, as we've seen in the last couple of years, is the Fed says something and the market the pendulum swings maybe a little farther than what even the Fed said. It was a negative the last time. It was a super positive this time. So the natural question is, if 9 weeks made the whole year last year, and here we are at the beginning of 2024, what are we looking at? I get people asking me January. You get people asking you in January of every year, what is this year going to do in the stock market? And our answer is usually, we don't know. But we do know some things. What are those things that we can look at and say with confidence?
Yeah, we don't know. And every day is a new day out there in the investing world. I'll take just a little side trip with you, Byron, though, because one of the research firms that we looked at did go back over the last 100 years and said every time the market went up 9 weeks in a row, what happened? Because you would think like, it's over.
It burned itself out.
Well, and actually, on average, 6 months later, it was up about 11%. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay? And so we don't know what's going to happen, but we also wouldn't say the party's over. Right.
So how about some of the fundamental things that we see in the economy, the things that are behind the price movements of the stock on a day-to-day basis? Are those fundamentals weak? Are they strong? What are you seeing?
So, first thing, I guess I want to circle back and show a picture to our clients of what the interest rate market did, not the stock market, but the interest rate market did vis-a-vis what that Fed was saying. Okay. So look at this slide with me, and what you're going to see is this blue line kind of stair-stepping up, and then we hit the peak of interest rates, we think, and we're going sideways. And then you see the actual interest rate on bonds, government bonds, particularly I will focus on the 10-year Treasury,
Okay.
and all of a sudden this thing went from 1 or 2 days hitting 5% all the way down to under 4%. So notice how those interest rates come straight down during that time frame, whereas the Fed hasn't changed anything. It's the market getting ahead, saying we know where the Fed's saying they're going to go, and so that's very important to understand why all this happened.
Right.
So that's kind of the what happened.
Okay.
And
A little
why.
bit of why.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as we look forward then, again, we can't predict what the market's going to do as far as reaction to any of these things, but I think we do have a little more solid look at some of those fundamental underlying things. So can you clue us in on some of those?
Yes. One bit of research we've shared with our clients before. We'll share a piece of this today, and that is from J.P. Morgan Chase, where they take the analyst estimates of where profits are going, what profits look like and where profits are going. Because for our stock market investors, profits, growing profits, that's what make those price of those stocks go up. And so this slide that we would like to share shows that at the end of 2023, we're looking like we're going to come in at about $220 worth of earnings on the S&P 500, but to rise over the next 2 years to $276.
Wow.
Okay, so if all of those estimates are right, or we just come into the ballpark of that being about where we land over a 2-year period of time, that means that we're going to have more profits in corporate America than we've ever had before. More profits
That sounds like good news.
that we've ever had before would tend to lead to higher stock prices. Okay. The other thing that I would share, and really the last slide I want to share today, has to do with what has made this whipsaw. Where the market was doing well, we had a year 2022 where stocks and bonds did poorly. 2023 there was a rebound. So where are we now? And this one is quite interesting because we know that the Fed has said they would like inflation to be around 2%. If you look at a rolling 6-month average of where core inflation is, not the 1 year that we see on TV a lot, but the 6-month rolling number, we are actually already at that 2% or slightly below that 2% line. And especially you look at the trend, how over the last few months that number has come down. So what that means is a healthy environment for the bond market. We've already talked about why we think there could be a healthy environment for the stock market, which means net over these next 2 years, we're basically optimistic as to what could happen.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's what we have to look forward to in 2024. What else?
Yeah, well, you've asked me a few questions.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because with all of this that we're saying, what's an individual client or customer of ours to do?
Good.
So what advice are you going to give people as we go into 2024?
So I think that it's natural for people to ask the question, what direction do we think the stock market's going to go? And I think we've tried to be as honest as possible, as it's really difficult to impossible to predict the short-term movement of the market. So if you can't direct or predict the short-term movement of the market, what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is make sure that you are in a proper portfolio for your age, your stage of life, your temperament, and what your particular goals are. So if you're our client, we've already done that work with you. We've got you in a portfolio that we believe, based on our conversations with you, that's right for you. But things can change. And so as you're in that right portfolio, the second thing we would counsel would be to practice patience and let that portfolio work for you, because the short term can bring in any number of different unexpected variables, but those fundamentals longer term tend to shine through and be the direction of the market. So make sure you're in the proper portfolio, practice patience with the markets. And then the last thing is just please communicate with us. As things in your life change, as goals change, as your circumstances change, perhaps even as your finances change, make sure that you communicate with us so that we can adjust your portfolio and anything else that we're doing for you in a proper way. And if you'll do that, and if we keep doing our job, then our goal will be fulfilled, which is you don't have to think that much about what we're doing, because we're thinking about it all the time.
That's true. Very good. Good word, Byron.
Well, for letting us come to you. Again, we'll try to see you in about 90 days. Until then, if you need us, we're a phone call away. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.